Hi, I'm Steve Erickson from midlifesolopreneur.com.
And I'm Jake Erickson from flowcampaigns.com. And this is our daily debrief.
And it serves several purposes for us, really. We get to practice speaking to a microphone and being coherent and not rambling. You get to hear some of the things that we are working on and our thoughts around them. And we get to share some of our knowledge with all of you. So what is the date today, Jake? And where are we at?
So today is August 11th, and this is episode 16 now of the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And we've just done week 5 of your beta course.
Yeah.
So how do you think that went?
I think that went really well. I got really good positive feedback from the people on the course, and that's really heartwarming to see and to hear that they're getting a lot of value from it.
So what did you talk about on the course?
Well, today it was all about the strategy session. And a strategy session is you can call it a discovery call and many different names, but it's when you're having a chat, one-on-one chat with somebody to sell either your course or coaching services. So one of the things I want to talk to you about today is really why people buy, because that's the purpose of having a strategy session. You want them to buy something from you. Now,
but I also think, just to interrupt there, we don't really refer to it as a sales call because there's so much more to it than just selling something to the person that you're talking to.
Yeah. For me, the strategy session is all about giving a lot of value. And you give value by becoming a trusted advisor. I've talked about this before. The amount of value you give on the call is really, really important, because most strategy session from other people, or the way it's being taught by others, is that it's a pure sales call trying to convince you to actually buy from them. So yeah, for me, it's a lot more. Mm-hmm. But what I'm thinking is that's very important to understand why people buy. Now, people buy either to avoid pain or to gain pleasure. And for most people, avoiding pain is the strongest motivator. It is a much stronger motivator than gaining pleasure. The second thing is that you have to think about the value you're providing. Mm-hmm. How much is that pain costing them? They will only pay more money when solving that pain is more worth than what your solution costs.
Yeah.
So to give you an example, if you need to go and do some shopping, some grocery shopping, and your car is broken down, you want to take a taxi. You may want to take the taxi if that's $20 or something and you are hungry, but you won't take that taxi if it's $1,000. You would rather walk.
Yep.
Because it's too expensive. But when somebody has a real problem, where they are stuck not being able to make money, and that is their income is dependent on that, and if they're going to lose the house if they don't increase their income, then you're in a much stronger position to sell them a higher value service. And I call it a higher value service, not an expensive service, because you never want to be expensive. You never want to cost a lot of money compared to the value you're giving. But people are much more likely to want to buy it from you.
I mean, even in traditionally expensive products, you're thinking luxury goods. There's still that value proposition that they provide to their customers. In this case, it's status. It's, symbolizes that you're a wealthy individual and you're showing off. So no matter where you really are, whether it's a product or a service, and no matter where you're on the value chain, it is about value rather than being cheap versus being expensive.
Absolutely.
I also want to flag one of the things that you said earlier on. It's about, pain versus pleasure, and that's actually a psychological concept that's been tested pretty extensively, and it's called loss aversion. People are very adverse to losing money. So if you think about gambling in a casino, the joy that you get from winning $100 is less than the pain of losing that $100. Even if you already won that money and, essentially you net out even, you remember the loss and you walk away going, oh, I lost all that money, rather than walking away going, oh, there was a while that I was up and I, felt really good about that as well.
Yeah, that's very, very true. Now, the other thing is to bear in mind is that people are buying using emotion, and they justify it with logic. So whenever you are selling them something, you really have to sell on an emotional level, not by logic. Now, let me explain what I mean by that. We talked about luxury goods. Now, luxury goods are 100% sold on emotion, what you're going to get from actually using that item. So when you're buying an expensive car or Ferrari, you're not buying a vehicle to get you from A to B. You're not buying something that's going to take you down to the shops and where you can do all the shopping and put it in the car and driving back. You can use a normal sedan for that, any kind of car. But you're buying the Ferrari because when you're in the Ferrari, it gives you that status of owning a Ferrari, and it makes you that feeling good because you are in the Ferrari. So that's really that people buying because they want it.
Yeah.
Right. They buy because they want the emotions that go with that item. And that's very important for you to realize as well. Whatever service you are providing, do people want it? Because if they need it and they don't want it, then it's actually very hard to sell them because they're just not perceiving that they want it. This is one of the reasons you can go to poor areas and you still see expensive flat screen TVs sometimes because they choose to spend the money on the wrong thing because they want it, not because they need it.
I mean, I think we know of a lot of people that, are always scraping by, always complaining that they don't have any money, but will still, for instance, they'll smoke and spend a lot of money on smoking, or they'll have the latest, fashion trends. They'll have the latest, as you said, TV. Yeah. They'll go on vacation when they really can't afford it, and then always the rest of the year complain about being broke all the time. So
absolutely,
there's different things that will drive their purchasing decisions, and obviously they, most people say they're spending their money wrong, and they should be spending on other things. It just goes to show that there's a lot that actually goes into that purchasing decision, and most of the time we're not rational about it.
No, totally.
We like to think that we make informed decisions about how we spend our money, but there are still things that we buy that are, nice to have, kind of luxury toys. I mean, I'm looking at the Stream Deck as an example. Should we show the camera actually?
We'll show the camera. So sorry if you're just listening to the audio, but we have a Stream Deck.
Yes.
Which is a set of physical buttons. You could probably you could do the same as keyboard shortcuts, but hey, we wanted it. It makes things easier for us as in our perception.
So essentially it's a mini keyboard that has, in this case, 32 buttons, and you can program the buttons. So if you press them, things happen. So that's how we actually change the background if you want to do that quickly, to show us the green screen or the blue.
Right, so we have here for a blue screen instead, and I press the button and I go back to a brick.
Yep.
Or I can press the green screen. Oh, you know what? That disappeared completely, and I don't even know why.
Okay, we're back.
Never mind.
We're more
back.
zoomed in.
Yeah, we're more zoomed in.
Okay, we're back. Yeah, so this is an example, right? This is something that we could feasibly do on a keyboard, for instance. You could change the settings and do it, but
we want it.
We want it. We're a little bit nerdy. We like being able to press the button and all the things change on the computer. So, that's one of the examples where, yes, we have a use for it, but at the same time, we were just like watching videos. We're like, oh, this is so cool. We want to buy it.
Yeah.
So, that's something that can go into a purchase decision as well. It's
absolutely. And it's worth mentioning that at this stage that people don't buy the product or the service, but they buy the results that they're going to get from the product or service. We didn't buy a piece of hardware to sit on the desk. We bought a piece of hardware that we can use, play around with, have shortcuts that are easy to handle and don't have to use the keyboard, and we like it and we're nerdy and geeky.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So always think about that. Then you don't buy gas because you want to buy gas. Mm-hmm. You buy gas because it will fuel your car, which will get you somewhere or allows you to drive down Rodeo Drive in your Ferrari.
Yeah. And, another point you mentioned there actually is we were talking earlier about, if you're providing a service or advice, for instance, that helps someone, when their job is on the line, when their house is on the line, but it's not just about what economic value you can provide to people. If you're a wellness coach or a fitness coach, you could be working with someone who has been chronically overweight their whole life. And the amount of value that they're getting from losing that weight finally can be worth so much more than money to them.
Yeah.
So it's really, relative value in the kind of domain that you're working in is probably how I'd say it.
Absolutely. There are a lot of things that services where the value isn't tangible. You can't show dollar value of what they're getting because it's life improvement, it's life quality, it's prolonged life.
Yep.
And how you put value on living a few years extra because your health is better.
Yeah.
So that's also important when you're pricing your services, is considering what kind of value they would get for it, how much do they want it, and how much are you able to convey that value during a conversation.
Yeah. So one of the things you get a lot during these sessions is someone will say, well, I can't afford it. And, that's a pretty common objection. That's probably the most common one that people get. And generally what that means is that you haven't demonstrated the value enough, or you haven't essentially proven, or not proven, but you haven't determined that the client or potential client has put enough of value on that result that you're able to achieve.
Yeah.
So as an example, let's say, you can charge X amount of dollars and you'll help them lose 10 pounds. Again, if they not that concerned about whether they're losing £10 or not, they'll probably value that very low.
Yeah.
Versus if it's, the last £10 that they've been working for a year and they're super close to that 6-pack, that might be something that they value a lot higher as well.
Absolutely. If they just can't get over that final hurdle but need some extra help, they will value that a lot more for sure.
So during your strategy sessions, what you should be determining is, firstly, how important is this issue to your potential client? On a 1 to 10 scale, is this something they care about 10 out of 10 or 3 out of 10? Because naturally the value that they assign to that will be different. And then if you've determined that it is a priority and they still feel like they can't afford it, then it's worth digging into, well, what else are they potentially spending their money on? Are they being incongruent and saying, yeah, I actually really want to be financially free, but I'm spending a lot of money on this other thing that actually, doesn't matter and doesn't help me with my goals, for instance.
Yeah. And
I think the key here is to not be accusatory. This is not I'm challenging you. Why can't you afford my services? This is a genuinely, I want to understand, you've mentioned, for instance, you want to lose weight. You've mentioned that's really important to you. So like what I just want to understand from my understanding, like why are we not working together kind of thing, I guess what I'm trying to say is, when you're very ethical, when you believe in your services, when you want to be that trusted advisor and work with someone and you can deliver benefits, it's in your client's best interest to work with you. And it's your responsibility to do whatever you can to work with them.
Yeah.
And so the question then becomes is, okay, there seems to be a barrier that's blocking us working together. I'd like to discover what that is so we can find a way around that and work together.
Yeah. That is so important. And it's such an important part of the role that you are playing when you are talking to clients, is to find out what are the barriers that are stopping them, what are the mental blocks that are stopping them from being successful, from achieving the goal that they want to have, and then being able to work with them and deliver that. That is absolutely crucial.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I think that's it.
I think that's enough for today. Yep. So thank you very much for listening in, and see you tomorrow.
Yep. We'll see you tomorrow.
Take care.
Bye.